The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences.
Test. So test. Testing.
It's time.
It's not time, we gotta wait.
It's time.
No, we need some silence first. We gotta wait till the plane's left.
This is recording the whole time, is it?
Yes. Just shh. Okay, this time.
Is it time?
No, silence.
Is it time? The bells say yes. So before we get started on our podcasting of low facts, I guess we should address the gerbil in the room.
What's that?
Some of you may have noticed that some episodes have been like reposting.
Yeah.
It was a mystery, but we got our crack technical staff onto it, and I think that is no longer going to be the case, or it shouldn't be. That issue has been resolved.
It's just one platform, though.
But anyway, you did say that you kind of wanted to talk about something this time?
Well, it's something that I have an issue with, and it's basically people doing what I consider to be stupid stuff. And just kind of expecting, and this isn't a theme, this is a theme we've talked about before, but it's the person that does the stupid thing and then just kind of expects everybody else to accommodate and be fine with it. And I get really worked up about that stuff. Whether it's somebody who's just so clueless that they got no situational awareness going on, or they don't care. And they just sit there, and I get really, really mad about it and kind of like stupidly worked up about it. And the question is it a good thing for us to sit there and just kind of accommodate other people doing stuff, doing things stupid, doing things badly, or doing things in a manner that just doesn't take into account other people?
Does it help at all to think or know that you are also that person? Or does that not come into the equation?
Well, shit.
Well, no, I'm not saying this to bust on you or anything, but we're all that person.
I think it would help, but that doesn't really...
Just not in the heat of the moment? And I get you.
I'm not sitting there thinking in the heat of the moment, I do this shit. I'm just like, what is this person's problem?
Right, but everyone has that first initial thought. There's no way to stop that. The thing is after you have that thought, do you ever think, well, shit, I do that too, probably. Not that exact same thing, but you're also...
Very rarely do I have that thought.
Okay.
Because usually I'm looking at the person and saying, how can you be so unaware of those around you?
Yeah.
And it's usually in a capacity of someone who's doing something illegal. It's often on the road. Mm-hmm. Just pulling up in a spot that just is just basically making life really, really difficult for everybody else, doing some kind of an illegal maneuver, having no, being behind the wheel and having no concept that there's other cars on the road. I mean, it's just, it's mostly driving. Yeah,
but at that point, I think it's helpful to really know what you're mad at. I mean, you couched it yourself. You said they're just not aware of other people. When that shit happens to me, I don't give a fuck about other people. I'm just thinking about me. I'm like, why are you,
Yeah. Well, it's not... Well, I lump myself with other people, though. I'm like, this person's inconveniencing everybody.
But that only happens when you're being inconvenienced.
Well, yeah. I'm one of those people.
But it's not everybody, is my point. In life, there's always winners and losers in every single thing. And I don't know if it's because of chemistry, the laws of chemistry, or whatever it is. Who was the guy? He was like the tax collector for Louis XVI.
I don't know.
His name starts with an F. Lord, I got fucked, because he did get beheaded. But he was also a really good chemist in his spare time, which apparently you can have loads of.
Who was he? Who's this guy?
He was the. His name starts with an F, and I forget his name, but he was the tax collector for Louis XVI.
Okay.
He was a lord, so French lord back then was pretty much as close to God as you can get on Earth.
And why did he get beheaded?
Because he was the
Tax collector for Louis.
and he was a lord.
Right. Okay.
And he was a French aristocrat, but he's the one that came up with the idea that there's no creation or destruction of matter.
It just changes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he was a chemist.
Yeah. He was a chemist like he was like the weekend chemist. Like there are like I'm a weekend lawyer, so I've watched a lot of Law and Order episodes.
And he just figured out matter.
Well, he would do experiments and
Yeah.
stuff because he had loads of money.
But he must have been very learned too to figure that out.
Well, yeah, he was an aristocrat. He was the only person that.
Yeah, but there were plenty of aristocrats that weren't learned. I mean,
Well, yeah, there were plenty of stupid aristocrats,
yeah.
but. So, sorry for the aside, but no, I understand because I get that too, right? I get hacked off at people driving and
Or people leaving shit out on the curb.
yes, leaving shopping carts out. I coming into the office today. Very clueless driver almost sideswiped me.
Yeah.
And I honked my horn, and that person didn't even react. And as I passed that person person still didn't react. And it kind of looked like that person was driving and playing with a phone.
Mm-hmm.
But your reaction is the same. That's.
But I get so angry. Like, it's not... It's disproportionate.
Well, maybe that says more about you than it does about them.
Yeah.
Really. You know, without trying to make it sound like I'm being
No, it's
poo-pooing you.
No, but it's true. It's true. It's just like I'm like I need to just. I don't know what the answer is though.
Well, I don't think you need to do anything, quite frankly, because the world will react to the way you act or react. So, you know, people are talking about I'm not happy with this or I'm not happy with that. You know, things need to change, which we all do, right? Short answer is no, they don't. They haven't for as long as there have been humans in existence. I don't know how or why you or I are so special that things are going to magically change around us. But because I remember somebody once trying to couch curbing your road rage when somebody's driving speedily or doing something, whatever, right? To say, well, what if they've got a child in the car and they're, trying to get them to the hospital? My first thought is, why wouldn't they call an ambulance? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of times the way people try to talk me down from stuff.
Is to say you're not putting yourself in the shoes of that other person.
Well, in that specific example, yes, but my point was going to be something a little bit more macro in terms of the way a lot of people try to give me advice or try to help me deal or think they're trying to help me deal with stuff is to say some things and it just makes me madder, especially when a woman is saying these things. Not to poo-poo. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to say not to poo-poo on women. Fuck that shit. Whenever I get advice, it tends to just piss me off. Because I'm the type of person that just wants to kind of deal with it on my own and come to some kind of conclusion. I'm like that when I'm sick.
Yeah.
When I'm ill or not feeling good, I want to be the only person in existence. I don't want to see another person ever. And that is quite foreign to a lot of people, especially the people that want to help me. And I'm just like, leave me alone. You want to help me? Leave me alone. Get away from me. And I don't think that's a very common reaction.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we're all kind of different.
See, that leads me to another question, or I guess it's a related question. of the whole idea of empathy, or the whole idea of like love for your fellow man.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't think that should mean that you let somebody do some stupid stuff, right? Like how is that? Is it, if you're going to have empathy, that doesn't mean that anything goes. I don't think.
I always kind of looked at it like
if you're an empathetic person running around, does that mean that you're supposed to just kind of? I mean, that doesn't mean that you should be a doormat, you know.
Well, not at all. But what I was going to say is, the way I kind of treat letting people get away with stupid stuff. Is kind of like, well, I want to get away with my stupid stuff. So,
but that's the whole. Isn't that the whole like floodgates argument? Like if you can't beat them, join them. If you're like, if everybody's doing stupid stuff and you're the one person or the small group of people that's still trying to do things right and do things in a way that's not stupid. I need a better term than stupid.
Yeah, because there's no right or wrong answer to these things is the really hard part about it.
Yeah, but if you just have the attitude of like, well, it's like the whole. Remember we've talked about the cheating thing before,
and even,
like if everybody cheats,
but
then it's like
even cheating,
I might as well cheat too.
Even cheating isn't the correct word for a lot of the stuff we're talking about. It is cheating, but people are like, well, that's not really cheating.
That's just what everybody's doing.
Well, for example, there's a pretty significant number of people, a significant percentage of the population that think that one political party cheated in the previous election.
Right.
Funnily enough, when the party that won, whenever they lost, they say the same thing. The other party cheated. This was horrible, but whenever you win, it's all of a sudden the safest, most honest, most best, best carried out circumstance ever.
That just makes me think of this is the most important election in our lifetime.
Well, it can be. It can be, right? Because
it's every election though.
But
this is the most important election. You got to vote.
It can be. That I'm not.
How can every election be the most important election?
Well, the last one passed.
Right.
The one that you're doing now is the most important election that you can.
But that's not what they mean when they say that, though.
Well,
it's always like, democracy's at stake, the Constitution's at stake, the country's at stake.
Yeah, and they're doing what they can to secure their advantage. And like I said to you before, right? If you can't argue with that, right? You can't sit there and say, "Oh, it's horrible that they're trying to secure an advantage," because you want to be able to secure your advantage.
Yeah.
So, if you're really just out to secure your advantage and be like the rational actor that economists like to point out, or lawyers, right? The fictional, reasonably prudent person. Okay, so these people are just trying to do what they can to get by. Well, then that argument can just as easily be put on everyone. And so basically everyone's doing what they can to get by. So really you can't fault anybody, right?
But hang on, we've had this discussion about shopping carts before, and like, it starts with shopping carts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where it starts. Like if people,
I think it starts with the small things.
It starts with the small things, and the small things are doing the right thing when it comes to the small things is going out the window. Again,
right and wrong, what I'm talking about is having a cohesive or a society that works well for as many people as it can.
Right.
Now, having said that, things have not always gone. I've generally never been in the side of the most people.
Right.
So a lot of times it really doesn't matter what happens. I'm still going to get the short end of the stick of stuff.
But if everyone is like, it's just everyone for themselves.
But that's basically where a whole lot of stuff is based on. Think of our system of law. The American system, the English system.
Yeah.
Basically, they think that if two sides go butting heads and go all out, the truth's going to come out.
That's what you're told.
And you know what? it could be true, right? I mean, it seems pretty plausible. It's just the practicalities of it don't seem to pan out. So when I'm talking about, it starts with the small stuff, with society and stuff like that. We want to, what do we want to do? We want to try and make a situation where pretty much most people, maybe all, can have an environment where they can kind of do what they can, as long as it's not like infringing on someone else, to make your way. That's why I think property rights are so important to a society. Because but
again, that's something that they're totally subjective about that. If it's property rights about somebody they don't care about or who's on the other side, they're like, what are you making a big deal about this for? But if it's my property, then you better respect my property rights.
So if you want your property rights to be respected, shouldn't everyone's property rights be respected?
Yes, but that's absolutely not the way that, well, at least the activists, that's not how they talk.
Well, they talk that way because their audience is the people that don't have as much.
Right.
See, they're trying to get their power.
Supposedly.
They're trying to get their power from a constituency.
That's at least that's what they tell us. I don't know if it's true or not.
What do you mean?
I think that a lot of the activists who say, oh, this particular group doesn't have power, I think it's a lie a lot of times. That group that they're saying they're represented is often doing better than the activist says they are, but that's their spin that they're putting on it.
But if you're going for power, then there are two groups. There are people that have it and there are people that don't.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I think it's a lie.
Well, maybe I'm not understanding you. But the activists that you're talking about, from what I understand, they're trying to get power.
Right.
And they feel that the way to get the way that our system is couched right now, you get power by having people elect you to, or go to, or put you in a position to get power.
Mm-hmm.
And the currency of power supposedly is votes, but it's really money. So you want to put yourself in the arena of power, I guess. So with votes, that puts you in the arena of power to get the money to get the power.
Oh, man.
So when they're talking to people about how you are powerless, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, yeah, they need to get votes. They need to get support to put them in the arena. In the arena is the way I think of it.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
I mean,
that's true. That is the way that goes.
I don't know what you were thinking about, though.
Well, I'm just thinking about the activists who are saying, oh, I represent black interests, or I represent Asian interests, or I represent women's rights or whatever. And the position that they take is that everybody in their group has no power. And I'm like, that is not true. And it also that also does a disservice to the people that are in the group.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people who are in the group are like, you don't speak for me.
Well, they're not saying it loud enough.
And I don't need you to be like speaking on my behalf.
They don't say it loud enough. And because I don't think anyone should have that much power, but I don't have any power, so I suppose if I were, the Grand Poobah, I'd be sitting there saying, no, you need to give me the power because I'm going to be just and benevolent.
But I've had this discussion about shopping carts with other people, like my neighbor, for example.
And they just laughed?
She just laughed. She just laughed and laughed and laughed because she was like, why are you getting so worked up about shopping carts? And I was like, well, that's where it begins. And then she laughed some more.
Maybe you need to start.
She was like, you sound like a crazy person.
Maybe you need to start getting shopping carts and putting it around her car.
Oh, she would lose the plot, man.
Banging the door.
Well, she loses the plot. Like she loses the plot continuously about any time she's mildly inconvenienced by anybody or anything, and then she just basically goes off.
Maybe that.
And the only reason that nothing's ever happened to her is because she's a little old lady.
Well, if you want to stop acting that way, maybe you should sit there and think of you being that person in that time.
Right.
Is that a particularly attractive thing? right?
Yeah, we've watched the YouTube guy, right? He's like totally like, well, he's very provocative about it, about the shopping cart thing. Like he'll go up to people and he'll be filming them and being like, "Are you not going to put your shopping cart back?" And people get really, really upset.
I think they get upset because they know they're doing something wrong.
Right.
Everyone that says like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm like, why are you getting unhappy about it when people are asking you about it?
If nothing else, my legacy in this world will be all this guy ever talked about on his podcast was shopping carts.
Well, look, that was the thing that I've always sat there and said. If you have a friend who happens to be tall, and you say that person's really tall,
yeah,
or if that person's really good looking, you're like, oh, that person's really good looking. Nobody bats an eye. What if you got a friend who's really stupid? And you say, hey, that guy's really stupid. All of a sudden, they're like, wow, you can't call him stupid. And that guy, like,
he's your friend.
Why are you calling me stupid?
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, so these are all statements of opinion or fact. You have to like the fact.
It's a hard one with friends though, because like I have friends, for example, and they'll be coming to the United States. And they'll be like, oh, so what's the deal with this? What's the deal with that? What's, how much is this? How much is that? And I'm like,
do I look like
I'm not visiting here. I haven't been to LAX in years. Like, I don't use hotels in Santa Monica. Like, why would you think that I would know about these things? And I try to be helpful, right? Because they're coming to visit. But there's a part of me that's kind of like, bro, you're going to have to figure this out for yourself.
Do you think that part of it might be the whole thing that you attributed to a close family member where they want you to do something and instead of saying, can you do X?
Right. Can you find out? Like, I'm like, if you want me to find out and be Google and go and like call a bunch of hotels and find out what the best deal is and also would you like me to call LAX and find out, what the deal is with Ubers and cabs from the airport? I mean,
short answer could be yes, but the internal answer could be yes, but the external answer like, oh no, I don't want you to put yourself.
But my answer was like, dude, I haven't been to LAX in forever. I think this is what the deal is now out there, but you're probably gonna have to find out for yourself. Okay, thanks.
That reminds me of the people that like go online to look for hotels and stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, that's a dumb thing.
Oh, you mean as opposed to calling up the hotel? And
Not even that. Like, you can pretty up any kind of website. Right. I remember when I did a.
All right, you can make it look, and then you show up, and you're like,
yeah, what kind of hellhole is this?
Right.
Because I remember visiting Vegas my senior year of college for spring break with a couple of my buddies, and. This is when the internet was all new and fresh. So my one buddy looked into the hotels, and he found one that was 3 blocks off the strip,
right,
for a pretty low rate.
And you're like, sold.
We got there, and that was the longest 3 blocks I've ever walked in my life. And trying to do it drunk at night.
I guess there's some pretty big blocks in Vegas.
After you've walked up and down the strip.
So their marketing was 3 blocks from...
Just off the strip.
Just off, yeah.
But
that's like ocean view from where I am.
Well, you do have an ocean view.
Yeah, it's between 2 houses. It's about a foot.
Yeah, but it's an ocean view...
When there's not a van parked in it.
And also, you're not like right next to... You are technically 3 blocks.
From the beach.
Yeah.
It's true. It is pretty close.
It's 4.
It is pretty close.
But those 4 blocks are like...
A couple of miles.
No, it's not even... No, it's not a couple of miles at all.
It's maybe a mile.
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be a mile.
And I very rarely... I don't get down there very much.
Well, you got that big hill to contend with.
It's not the going down part. It's the mild incline coming back.
Can you imagine calling an Uber to get back up?
Was it the Simpsons episode
with Fat Camp?
Fat Camp?
Yeah.
Was it the mild?
Yeah. There's no breaking out of Fat Camp. We don't have a fence, just a mild incline.
I've really got to lose some weight.
Well, there's plenty of ways to do it.
There is?
Well, one way is to just have added stress in your life.
Yeah.
Lack of money, that'll make you lose weight
That's great.
real fast.
I'm sure there's plenty of people losing weight right now then.
Oh, there was a whole generation of dudes that lost tens and tens of pounds.
Because they had no money and a whole lot of stress.
No, because, well, yeah, they went out to fight World War II.
Oh. I thought you were talking about recently.
Well, in cosmic time, I guess it's recent, right?
I do sometimes feel sorry for the millennials. And the reason I say
The generation right after us.
Yeah, like a lot of them, like they came out into the job market, there wasn't shit.
You know, we're not that much older than the oldest millennial, right?
No, I know, but there were years like there's like you know the stories.
No, 2012.
Yeah, people graduated and it's like,
Yeah.
I guess you're gonna have to find a different job
Yeah.
if there is one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they can thank all the.
but the millennials get a very hard time from everybody, and it's just kind of like, I'm not sure why.
I think it's better to be us. We're in between.
Well, we're before the millennials.
Right. We're in between. We're before the millennials, but we're after the boomers.
What is the next one after Z called? Is it Alpha?
I hope not. There's nothing alpha about them.
What's after Z? What's after Z though?
Z plus.
Z plus plus, Z minus. I don't know what they're called, but
Zebra.
there's a next generation after Z now, right? There's got to be.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because like a generation's 17 years.
Yeah. Ugh. This reminds me of how old I'm getting, man. I was getting my car fixed up. I was in the garage this week and got to talking to this Japanese girl. She was like super young. I was like, oh my god. I was like, she's probably about the same age as my nephew.
Mm.
And she was like, oh, when were you in Japan? And I was like, I was like 1997.
30 years ago?
And she was like, oh, I was born in 2003.
Oh, gosh. Oh, you're in Japan in 97? The summer of 97?
Yeah.
We're in the same... We're less than 100 miles away from each other.
Did you experience any earthquakes?
No, I was in Korea.
Oh, that's crazy.
Actually, it's probably more than 100 miles.
Dude, we could have hung out.
I don't know. I would have made it down to Fukuoka.
No, she was from Tokyo.
I went to Tokyo.
She showed me. I showed her a picture of what I looked like, and she was like, "Oh, you were handsome." I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's so true." I was a pretty boy.
I would
way back then. Yes.
Nah.
I was like, I could have been a model, bro.
A model for what?
A model for like grunge clothes or something.
Don't get me wrong. You weren't bad looking dude, but you look like a picture of every other like Commonwealth person.
Oh, come on. Nah, man. I was a lady killer.
Ooh, lady boy killer.
Japan is a very strange place.
Well, Japanese people are very strange.
Why is that?
They live on that island.
I saw some shit in Japan in the bars, man.
Actual feces?
No, just like, I'd never seen a fight in the street with people throwing bicycles at each other before.
Were they actually throwing them at each other?
Yeah.
Or they were just throwing them?
They were throwing bicycles at each other. I'd like never seen anything like it in my life.
Were they very light bicycles?
Full on bicycles.
Okay.
I was like, man. I never seen this in New Zealand.
Huh.
You never seen that shit before, man? It was crazy.
People throwing bikes at each other?
Yeah.
I've seen people throw stuff at each other, yeah.
A bicycle?
Cinder blocks. Chairs.
Yeah. I was like, man, I've led a sheltered existence.
Bottles of whiskey.
Yeah. They're they're fucking unruly when they drink, dude.
Well, they're pretty penned up, man.
And then once they drink, though, they go off.
Well, their culture is supposed to be supposedly culturally. You're supposed to not hold anything against someone who behaves not hold anyone's behavior when they're drunk against them, right?
Wow, just as well. That's all I gotta say.
But like I said, they're pretty pent up.
But also like super super polite, and the ones that helped me,
very helpful people.
There was a gentleman that we're basically three foreigners standing around we had to do like, I think it was 4 or 5 different travel connections, and we, between the 3 of us, we
spoke
like
3 words?
a handful of like Japanese. And this guy, he could see us at the train station, and he was like, "Do you need help?" And we were like, "Yes, we do." And then we showed him our travel tickets, and he took us through 3 or 4 connections and like helped like us buy the tickets we needed or whatever. And then he got us almost back to the airport, and then he just gave us a wave and was on his way. He like took 3 hours out of his day to help these useless foreigners.
Yeah, well, that just kind of reminds me of when I was coming back from Korea. There were these soldiers who I guess were doing a change of station,
Okay.
and I just thought it was really funny because they'd probably been in Korea for longer than you had been in Japan.
Right. I was there 3 months.
Yeah, they were probably there for 3 or 4 years,
Okay.
or a year or 2.
Right.
Right. Couldn't understand shit. They were in there just kind of looking around, listening, hearing people say stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I think it's this way, or it's that way." I heard dudes say this, and I was sitting there, I'm like, "Fellas, what are you looking for?" And it took them a couple of seconds. We're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And like, "You speak English?" I'm like, "I should. I'm from America, you asshole." I didn't say that.
Yeah, but that's what you were thinking.
Yeah, well, they're like, "Oh wow, you speak really good English." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Amazing. But I remember having the thought,
You're like dumbasses.
I remember having the thought, I was like, how long were you guys here?
And you can't even negotiate, like, to not be able to just know a few things, like to order a ticket or.
Well, not even. They were at the frickin' airport on the. Oh, actually, I don't think the airport had any PA shit going on at the time. But
yeah.
But I just remember thinking, wow, you guys must be Class A morons. And then I remembered, and I'm like, because it took me within 2 weeks, no one could place where I was from.
Right.
So when I first got there, everyone was like, "Oh, are you from America? Or are you from wherever?" Right.
Right.
When I was speaking Korean. After about a week, that turned from "Are you from America?" to "Are you from China?"
Right.
And after the second week, they couldn't place where I was from
That's awesome.
because I didn't have the regular Seoul accent.
Well, you're really good at languages.
I should be. That's the language that my parents spoke to me.
But still, like, to lose an accent in 2 weeks?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my French isn't like that.
Yeah.
My German isn't like that.
You're Spanish.
My Spanish definitely isn't like that. All the Spanish I learned from watching Telemundo when I first moved here.
That's awesome. Except the news, they talk so fast.
Well, I can't. You can't. I have to watch soap operas.
You gotta watch soap operas.
I was watching the telenovelas. But
I think I've picked up quite a lot of Spanish just by hanging out with
the crew.
The crew, yeah.
I guess that's enough for really because.
But you didn't finish the story. Did you help the guys?
Oh yeah. We had a fun old time talking.
And then you like help them go where they needed to go to.
Yeah, well, one of they were all going to California, so.
Okay.
I don't know which base they were going to.
But you helped them like get to the right part of the terminal and shit.
Well, we were kind of in the bullpen area to try and get to the terminals and stuff.
Right.
And I guess the flight that they were on changed terminals or changed gates.
Right.
So that's where they were having their issue, and everything's in Korean writing
right.
on the stuff.
What was it called? What's it called?
Hangul.
Yeah. Pretty hard to read, right?
No, it's phonetic.
But you got to recognize it.
Yeah, well, there's like it's like 24 or 22 symbols.
Okay.
Like 12 vowel sounds and 12
What did my friend say? It's
sounds.
extraordinarily hard then.
Well, maybe your friend has a tenuous grasp on,
No, she's a smart cookie.
and she couldn't understand Korean,
Reading it.
or is it Chinese?
No,
You're
she
thinking
called it What'd you call it?
Hangul.
She called it that, yeah.
There's Hanja.
I don't know.
That's Chinese.
I felt like I had an L on the end of it. Hangul?
Hangul.
Yeah, that's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I never. Whenever I meet someone.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys and gals out there ever run into somebody from a foreign land, don't think you're going to impress them by busting out the one word you know in that language.
No.
And remember,
and don't do the. You know what drives me crazy is people doing it in the accent too.
I think they look stupid.
Like chimichangas, you know.
Well, that's the reason, because
I'll have a burrito.
yeah, just call it a burrito.
I'm like, you sound like a douchebag.
Because every now and then I would bust out what little Chinese or whatever I knew to native speakers, and the conversation would only go on for the exchange would go on for maybe a minute or two, and I'd be like, "Look, you've exhausted my entire repertoire. We need to start speaking English now." But I don't necessarily find it offensive when people do it to me. The reason why I stopped doing it to other people is when people do it to me, I'm just like, that sounds really dumb. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a, for me, it's more of a pride thing.
Yeah.
And as you and pretty much anyone that's ever met me knows, I've got an iceberg of pride that I need to whittle away at.
Is it a big? Well, I guess icebergs are big, right?
You're right. It's.
Well, there's little icebergs and there's big icebergs.
Mine's twice as big as the iceberg that took down the Titanic.
Okay.
And just imagining myself sounding the way this person sounded, who was being earnest, who was trying to be friendly and earnest.
Well, that's the sad part about it, though.
Because
usually people are trying to be earnest, and I'm like, you sound like the biggest douchebag in the world. I know you're trying to be earnest, but you sound like a fucking douchebag.
Well, that's the thing. I too, when I used to do that stuff, was trying to be friendly and earnest.
Right.
And then being on the receiving end of it just made me sit there and go, ooh.
Right.
But the funny thing is, there are people that claim to say they'd like it.
Maybe.
That's their claim.
That's possible.
They claim they like it.
That's very possible.
Well, they must have much smaller icebergs of pride than I do.
Mm.
So, Thanksgiving over, Christmas time coming up. Favorite season here, and I just haven't enjoyed it like I used to.
Well, it's like you were saying, for some reason it kind of seemed to go by really fast. So.
Well, this year it went by fast.
Going by fast.
This year's going by fast. This season's going by fast.
November was fast. I don't know if December will be fast or not.
Like last season, I was loving it. But as I've told you and alluded to before to others, this season has been, there's been some things. So,
yeah. Well, hopefully
you are asleep by now. And if you are, remember this subliminally. Like, subscribe, tell friends.